Friends, buying a house, that dream house, was so simple if in case we were to go 25 years down memory lane. I know it sounds nostalgic, but then buying a house, the factors governing it were so simple. Once a person had zeroed down upon a particular location, all he was looking at was the size and the rate, the square footage. Eventually, the variables between two particular products as available in the market from developers in those days were pretty similar. But then it's no more the case. Pune has evolved, its dynamics have changed, the requirements of the house have changed, the exposure of the buyer for his dream house have changed, whether it is through his international travels, whether he has seen and tasted, like the IT guys coming, they've stayed abroad. The international students who are there, they're floating around, they're seeing the best of products. The movies, they are showcasing the best of products as available internationally. Now, these best products, which actually mean your dream home, have hit the market. The variables between them are not again only restricted to that, because the variables are based upon, say, design factor, the light, view, ventilation, simple aspects like, what, from a purchaser's perspective, whether it is two apartments per floor, whether it is four apartments per floor, he's become choosy. He knows the difference. He knows the variables between that, because if in case it is four apartments, he knows it is going to be at a better price as compared to a higher price in case of two apartments per floor. But the advantages of these aspects, definitely he would be understanding. The external facade, the appearance, the landscaping, the compound wall, these minutest detail now are part of his aspire list. Of course, coming within the house and the utility side of it, the specifications, the amenities, the specifications are no more those typical five standard printed specifications as they were there maybe 25 years or 30 years ago. It's a huge list where even developers are specifying, short of putting in the exact brand that they intend to use. There are few guys who are putting in the brand also, but all that is because it makes a difference. The house, if in case it is maintenance free, if in case it is leakage free, you could have uh, the best of product in your house. You could have a tap worth a lakh of rupees. What is the use of it if in case there is no water flowing from it? Now, these aspects of specifications, the amenities, the maintenance free, the hassle free status of the home, what is something that a client would always be looking at. He is looking at amenities within the project. Of course, they come at a price. Whether he requires that or not, he is to decode. If in case it's a senior citizen, why would he be looking at a children's playground within the campus, or a swimming pool? Possibly he may not be using it. For all it matters, his requirements would. So client naturally should decode. It's not that 100 amenities are being offered and to be flattered by it. He has to look at what he actually wants, what is his requirement, and accordingly choose a particular product. One big word which is being talked about, Vastu. Whether right, wrong, actually the genesis of Vastu Shastra as it is was when the full house was being dependent only upon natural factors, whether it is daylight, sunlight, wind, all these basic energy and the elements, coupled with the shape of the plot, the slope of the plot, because the drainage was gravity based. It had to get into a soak pit behind or a septic tank behind. So those factors of where the slope should be, the direction of the house, the entrance from where, the kitchen on the east so that the morning sun would get into the kitchen and make it hygienic. Yes, these are factors which were science, but not fear psychosis as was being created in those in all throughout in history. Because in India we have seen that fear psychosis can make anything sell Even if in case you're calling a apple, if in case it is with fear, it works. So the fear of it was something which was possibly manipulated during the time, but yes, the essence of it was good. Now, similarly, yes, I think a few elements are being followed by developers, but then with the evolution of science, the dynamics of science, quite a lot of these factors can get overcome, whether it's by aircon, whether it's by artificial lighting, or the other aspects. They could also a person who gets into one of the biggest dilemma that a client has, a purchaser has, is what should be the size of the house. Naturally, it has to be coupled along with his resource planning or resource availability for that particular aspect. But then personally, my personal opinion is, and based upon a little bit of experience of around 30 years in the real estate field, is a shelf life of around 15 years is ideal. Please do not plan for unknown guests who would be coming at unknown times. Don't you know, and then you try and upscale your requirements and get into the complications of it. You plan. It's no more a joint family as it used to be. The children could be working anywhere in the world. From a developer's perspective, client definitely has to go through a lot of dilemma, getting technical help, getting maybe if in case he has a friend who's an architect, if he would take his advice, it would definitely help in choosing the right product. From perspective also, as far as architecture is concerned, the evolution of the regulations which keeps happening, whether it is the draft development control regulations for the old limits as are being proposed, where the hearing may, which possibly will take multiple more years for it to get crystallized, or the ABC rules or the RP rules which have recently been finalized by the state government. All these aspects create a lot of grey areas in terms of time, applicability of which rule. Like today we are talking of Metro FSI, it's there all over the newspapers. Okay, Metro FSI 4 will be available. Whether it's a reality or a myth needs to be looked at. With little bit of architectural background, I would say that 90% of Pune cannot absorb that sort of FSI because of the other rules, relevant rules, whether it's coverage, the height, the side margin. No property, unless it is in multiple hectares, would be able to absorb this sort of FSI. So whether do we have any such property along the metro route? Hardly any, maybe 5%, 10%. So what is the absorption capacity gonna be? It's gonna be much less. The bigger challenge is that, and mind you, the burden of which is borne only by the flat purchaser, is approvals. The approval processes, the time that it undertakes, this is by the urban local body, which runs into possibly 3 months to maybe an year. A typical example in case of Pune Municipal Corporation is a developer who, in case he has to start a project and has got his plans approved in June 2013, and if God forbid there was one tree which was to be cut, that total approval process has gone into a lingo. And even today, sitting in January end or February early 2014, the processes have not been defined whether it is to be done by Pune Municipal Corporation or the High Court, and the confusion, the work has not started. Finally, who's going to bear the cost of the investment? All these costs, the environment clearance, where till a few months back this was taking around 18 months. 18 months for getting an environment clearance, with crores and crores of rupees having been sunk. There's interest ticking, whether the developer is working or sleeping, the interest is ticking. And who's going to pay for this? In a country who talks of affordable housing, if these are the costs which can be pruned comfortably, I think we could be coming out with a better product. Which has seen a lot of evolution is technology. Technology, whether it's the aluminum formwork or the prefab, uh, the product availability, the materials availability. The world has become a single market. Today, if in case I see something in Germany and I want to use it in my project, the feasibility is very, very comfortable. So getting the world becoming a single global market has seen that, that materials along with technology definitely are focused around two aspects. Number one, all this help in increasing the speed of the project, the quality of the product. Credai Pune Metro has taken a lot of initiative on this front. Like for the last 8 years, it has been organizing annual study tours to different countries where approximately 100 odd developers travel for 1 week and are visiting different projects, meeting the consultants, meeting manufacturers, meeting technology people. Like a place in Changsha that we visited a couple of years ago, where a 15-floor building, a hotel building, was built in 30 days. All this can be brought here. Of course, there is a tightrope walk as to what should be brought, because something may come at a very high cost, whether it's steel structures, as seen all over Europe. The cost of that, whether it is compatible with the requisite requirements of the clients, has to be put foremost. So yes, they would be coming in. The challenges in addition for a developer are getting in the right product, the right size, at the right price, and seeing to it that affordability of the product from the purchaser's perspective is there. There are, this basically will see to it that the dream of all the central governments of housing for all, etc., and who talk of so many million housing shortage, can be taken care of. Yes, part of it is being taken care of at the bottom spectrum or the bottom of the pyramid by virtue of this new law of inclusive housing coming in. You need to understand this a bit more, I think. When you say it means that any property above 1 acre, 20% of the parent FSI needs to be built in the form of EWS and LIG units and handed over to MADA. Yes, it's been made mandatory recently, but then one grey area within this is that it has to be given to MADA, who will allot it to the LIG and EWS allottees after screening them, and give over money to the developer at ready reckoner construction cost rate. Now the developer has started this work, taken couple of years to build it. After completion, he will intimate to MADA, 6 months are given to them. The finance for allotting it, what happens to the finance cost? It's not part of the ready reckoner. Now finally, all the losses that a developer undergoes in that inclusive housing will again be passed on to the flat purchaser. Look at a simple example like corporation, Pune Municipal Corporation. If in case I were to tell you that the premiums and charges being charged officially are approximately 350 rupees for residential in the periphery, moving upwards, if in case you come city centric, it would move up to around 700-800 rupees per square feet. And in case of commercial, it would mean starting with around 600 rupees in the periphery, and city centric would mean 1800 rupees per square feet being paid to the Pune Municipal Corporation, which is seen from the PMC's budget also, where they talk of these amounts reflecting in 24% of the total revenue of PMC in this particular financial year. Who's going to pay for it? The new flat purchasers. Whether they should be the only guys paying for it, or it should be something spread across the markets, is a question, is a different debate, a different topic which could be addressed later. The aspirational available to the flat purchaser, the solutions are pretty simple. Number one, proper land carrying capacity. which means FSI, which the word has become a taboo. If in case you look at anything, Singapore, Malaysia, you see those 10 FSI and 12 FSI and 15 FSI building, and we get flattered by it. So FSI is something which has to be released comfortably so that the cost would come down. Speedy approvals where actually nobody gains. It is only the lethargy which converts into higher cost. That has to be taken care. Of course, coupled with better finance mechanisms as available to the masses. When I say masses, I mean right from the handcart puller right up to a CEO of a company. The full spectrum needs to be covered. Everybody needs to be addressed in terms, and then in terms of finance, and then I'm sure the way we dream as developers or Credai Pune, the way we dream about Pune will be synergized the way a client, a purchaser would be dreaming, all towards creating a utopian city,